West Side Story.
Greetings and welcome back to my channel. So if you've been following along, you know that I am redoing my garden bed after a major hurricane. Well, it's a category 2. It's major enough to do a lot of damage to the garden. And then I had a little illness after that, so I had to put off doing any gardening. So a lot of stuff got overgrown and damaged from the storm. But now I'm in the midst of fixing that all up. And if you may have noticed that there are a couple of new beds that are redone. Over here I've got kale, and Brussels sprouts, and kale, and Swiss chard in those, along with my lettuces here, which are coming up 3 days after I planted them, by the way, which is really cool. That's one of the things I love about lettuces. They're super fast. But there's things that I have to harvest out of my garden so that I can move on and not waste anything. Right? Namely, I've got these tomatillos that are behind me and over there that have set fruit. They're in various stages of usefulness, and I'm just going to go through real fast and harvest all that fruit, and then I'm going to show you the results of the harvest, and if I have enough to do anything with that's useful, I'm going to make some salsa verde. So we'll see what happens in this video, whether this is hey, look, I got a bunch of worms, or hey, look, I got some salsa verde. We'll see in just a second. Stay tuned. I don't know.
It's just alright. When I saw, it's just alright. When I saw, it's just alright. It's just alright. Just alright.
That looks pretty good. It's a pretty good harvest, especially for doing nothing with them. Nothing whatsoever. I just planted them in my beds. You can see that's what a tomatillo in the husk looks like. And then inside it, oh, and this one has a little caterpillar. A lot of them have a little caterpillar. But it hasn't done too much damage. Let's see. I can't get this out to show you. Here's our little caterpillar friend. And I say friend with gritted teeth. See, you can see the damage that he did. That's not much. I can rinse that off. The rest of that is a beautiful fruit. And what you do is you roast them. You basically broil them in your oven. Get a little char on them, and then you whip them up into a salsa. You know, with a few additions. But I'm going to show you that in just a minute. We've got enough here to do something with, so I'm pretty happy about that. All right, stay tuned. I'll see you in a second. Welcome to my kitchen. So I have got this bucket full of tomatillos from my garden, and I'm really happy with them. They've been sitting here actually overnight. I'm gonna see, you know, how well I did with these guys, what's usable and what's not. So I know some of them have some worm damage, some of them don't. and some of them have damage that doesn't matter to me, you know. Maybe I can just rinse it off, that sort of thing. So we're gonna find out right now. You're gonna get to see the results. Let me find one of these that has a decent sized one in it. Here's one. Let me hold it up closer. So you can see they come in these little husks like this, right? And then you open it up and there's your tomatillo in there. It's got this interesting waxy feel to it. It smells good. So what you do is you just remove that. Then you use that, and we're gonna roast these, okay? So we'll throw the ones over there, good ones over here. We're gonna make salsa verde. Now some of these are little bitty things. I have an issue with some ingredients that I have to see. This one's got some worm stuff in there. This one's not terrible. It's not terrible. I'll just rinse that off when I'm rinsing the other stuff. And I don't see a worm in there, so that's good. So usually, that one's got a big fat worm in it. That one inside. Usually onions are in salsa verde, and I have a sensitivity to onions and garlic, so I have to leave that out. But I would suggest if you don't have a sensitivity, that you go ahead and roast some onions as well. Some of these guys have got. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my oven to 450. And it looks like I'm gonna have enough here to do something with. I'm really excited. Now, I planted these guys a little bit late in the season. And I think that what I've observed is this is the first time I've planted these guys. And it takes them a while to, they start making these little husks, but there's just nothing in them for a long time. There's just nothing there. You're like, oh man, am I doing this right? Is this going to work out? I couldn't tell, but it seemed like at the end of the season, like the end of my season, which would have been, I probably should have started these like 2 months earlier or something like that. And I would have had a bunch of these. It looks like they would just keep on producing. So, lesson learned. These will produce all through the heat, but you got to start them early enough for it to work. I don't remember exactly when I started, but I think that next year I'll start these when I start my tomatoes. And what I want to do with my tomatoes is put the seeds in trays in February. In my part of the world, they need to go in the ground in March. There won't be a frost after that. I'm not sure what my last frost date is, but from experience, I know that really we're not going to have any frost past about the end of February. If we had one in March, it would be really unusual. These are all. There's a few in here that are decent size. Most of them are fairly small, but I bet if I had more time with them, they would have done better. And if I had more time with them, I could have let some of these go, so I could get seeds from them, and then I would have an even better crop the next year, because then those seeds would be from a plant that is used to this area. And the more you can save your own seeds, the better plants that you'll have for the area in which you live, because they just start getting better and better. because they're naturalized to your area. So you never want to get seeds from, you know, tomatoes are a bad example. Tomatoes are kind of a good example in many ways. You never want to get seeds from, if you live in the South, you don't get seeds from New York that'll grow really well there. They wouldn't be able to handle the heat down here, and conversely, ours wouldn't be able to handle their extreme cold up there, or their short growing seasons, that sort of thing. We just need more. It's just better if you have stuff from the area. So if you check with, you know, local gardening clubs or there's lots of groups online you can check with to see about sharing seeds or buying seeds. There's lots of stuff on Facebook. I'm in several groups there that people are all the time putting on there that they have seeds, or they want to trade seeds. Lots of seed trading. So there's a big worm in that one, but I just pulled him out. So these look really good. Look, that's a nice one right there. Some of these look like as big as ones you might get in the store. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I think next year I'll have a bunch more available to me. Some of these I can. What I might do is just take all the remnants there and let those rot down. And then I'll pull any seeds out of that I can salvage, and those might give us some viable seeds that actually would be better suited than some store-bought seeds, because they've proven that they can grow here very well, and they get used to our area. Getting there. Look at this. So we're gonna, as I said, we're gonna roast these tomatillos. Now, most salsa verde recipes call for them to be roasted. But you don't have to. You can use, contrary to what many people think, you can eat these raw. I prefer to roast them because it's what I'm used to, but also because of the flavors that it imparts. Man, that roasting puts some great stuff into your salsa. And what I'll do is I'll roast some peppers along with them, and it will make a fine. Then we just throw it, you get some lime juice, some cilantro, your roasted tomatillos, roasted peppers, roasted onions, maybe a little roasted garlic. In your case, I'm going to leave those out. I would love to put them in, believe me. And then we just throw that in a blender or a food processor until it's a nice salsa consistency that you would like to dip with a piece of tortilla chip. Now, with the bigger tomatillos, I would cut them in half before I roast them. These guys, I'm just going to throw them in a pan after I rinse them. Throw them in there. Just throw them right into throw them right in the oven. And probably about, I have it set for 450 degrees, probably about 20 minutes at 450, maybe 30 minutes would be fine. And then at the end, maybe just throw in the broiler, just to get that little toastiness on the top, get a little char action going on. And then we'll see.
it goes. See, it's actually really easy. Now, if you had store-bought or you had bigger ones, it would go quicker because you wouldn't have to do as many at one time. But that should make a good little amount of salsa verde, at least definitely way more than we could eat in one sitting, or should eat in one sitting. So I might can it up. And you can see I've got some quarts of chicken stock on the counter. I can stuff all the time. I tend to cook large portions of food. I cook a big roast or a whole chicken and those sorts of things because they're less expensive than the smaller cuts, and you can do better things with them. And I'll tend to braise them, and then we have leftovers. And if we just leave it in the fridge, we may or may not eat it. So I'll take the cooked roast and save the drippings, or I'll use some other stock that I've made and can that in quarts and pints. And then when we don't want to cook, we can just go down there and open up a can of stuff that we've cooked. And it's so simple. I mean, people don't want a can because they think it's this big, long, involved thing. I cooked that stock. I roasted the chicken bones, the carcass from the chicken that I did. Roasted that for about 45 minutes to an hour. Pulled it out, threw it in a pot, boiled that for several hours. Save the drippings from the pan. You put that into the stock. It makes everything much better. Then you just go straight into jars and can it. Stock takes 20 minutes, right, to process. The whole thing, it's nothing. It's really, the amount of effort is very minimal. It's just the time that it takes to do it. So if you're going to be at home during the day, or whatever, I'll can stuff after dinner. It's so quick. It's so easy. But here's our harvest of tomatillos. Now I'm going to go over there and rinse these guys off.
Right, just right.
You can see that. And just throw them into a roasting pan. You could put them on a wire rack if you wanted to, but I don't really care to. You can see that's in a big roasting pan there. I'm not going to worry about cutting these up. I'm just going to put them straight into the oven. And I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes. And we'll see if they look good at that point. And then if they do, then I'm going to throw the broiler on. So stay tuned. We'll see what that looks like. Okay, through the magic of Wonkavision, time has gone by. It's been 20 minutes or so. Any second now, and we say, look at that. So I took a look at these guys. I'm going to show them to you. "20 minutes at 450, pretty good. There's a little bit of brown on them. I'm going to throw them in the broiler for just a minute. and you have to watch that broiler or it'll overcook. But maybe a minute or two under the broiler, give it a little bit more char on the top. And what you didn't see earlier was that I'd forgotten to put a jalapeno in there. So I cut a couple of jalapenos up that I had and threw them in the oven as well. So those are roasting right now on a separate pan.
It's all just alright.
Okay, it's got a little bit more color to them.
It's just alright. Well, it's all just alright. Just alright.
Good.
Wow, just alright.
Now while those cool off a little bit, I am going to cut up or chop up some cilantro. We'll get a couple of limes. Those in there. Now the only reason I'm chopping this up is just to help out the mixture. I'm going to throw this into the mixer, and on these, don't be afraid to use your stems on cilantro. Cilantro stems are great. They're especially in something like a salsa. There's nothing wrong with them. They taste great. Their texture is just fine. Just throw this in there. Just helping out the mixture enough so I don't have to over process when I put it in there. We're going to take these limes, cut them in half. We'll use a juicer, not a juicer, but a squeezer, you know, one of those little squeezer deals. One of these guys. If you don't have one of these, get you one. You see, so it's that fast. And don't bother with. There's two of these kinds. There's a yellow one and a green one. The green one's smaller. It's supposed to be for limes. Just get the one for the lemons. You don't need need both of them. Okay. So there's my mixer. Then we're just gonna put these tomatillos straight in to our mixer. They smell good. It smells. There is a smell in the restaurant, at a Mexican restaurant. Like, this doesn't cover all the smells of a Mexican restaurant, but just this roasted tomatillos has got a smell to it that is very familiar. Very, very, very familiar. When you smell it, you're like, that smells good. That's yummy. Okay, let's try that again. We'll pulse this a little bit. We'll give it a little bit of a. See, it doesn't have to do too much to it to get that sauced up a little bit. Then we're gonna throw in a half of jalapeno. These guys promise to be a little bit spicy, so I wanted to be careful with it. That in there. Then throw in a good handful of, like, kind of a double handful, isn't it? of the cilantro. Turn it on one. Turn that off. And that needs just a little bit more liquid. So we're going to put our lime juice in there. Do a couple of one, half. See how great that works? And I have done some experiments where I take these halves and then try and get more juice out of them. And you can get like a teaspoonful out of 6. It's just really not worth the effort. It does such a good job on its own. Okay, so we need to squish this down a little bit. Okay, let's take that out of there and let's give it a little taste and see if we need to adjust anything. Very tangy. Does not need more lime. It's plenty spicy. I think it needs more cilantro. Those jalapenos, I don't know if can you see those stripes? They call those fire stripes or fire streaks. When you get those a little bit older peppers, will develop those streaks, and that's how you can know that that's going to be a spicy. Sometimes you get a jalapeno. This jalapeno is spicy, and the next one's just nothing. But if you get them with those fire streaks on them, it's not a guarantee, but it's really close to it. Okay, let's try one more time. See how it is. You see the pretty color? Right. It's not bad. Not bad. I think it needs a little bit of salt. Just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to take that out, put it in a bowl, and see how my wife likes it.
Well, so it's just alright.
Alright, so you saw the process. I made it into a sauce, into a salsa, and now I have a victim.
Yay!
To see how it is. So try her out, see how it is.
Okay.
It's a little bit of spice, but not crazy.
I got milk just in case because I'm a little wimpy. Not super wimpy, little wimpy. It's still warm.
Yeah, right. It's right out of the oven. Pretty good with the
Limey, cilantro. It's robust. I dig it. It's not too spicy.
no. It might be a little bit much for the girl. Although maybe not.
Es delicioso.
Es delicioso. Well, you heard it from the source. She's my Mexican food expert.
Yes, this is true.
All things Southwestern. So, is it a thumbs up on that?
Yeah, well done, babe.
All right, thanks.
I'm gonna eat some more.
All right. So that's how. There you have it. Tomatillos from the garden made into a fresh salsa verde. That's how you do it. Till next time, keep growing stuff. Bye.
Was that all being filmed?
No, it isn't. It's being filmed now.
Oh.
We brought the little one in. She likes it. You like it? Yeah. Yay.
She says it's not too spicy.
There's a little spice, but you're our spicy girl.
Yeah, she can handle some too. She's like me.
That level. Going to the ceiling.
The top is the ceiling, and this is where you and I are. I agree.
I'm up here somewhere. Maybe a little further.
When I start sweating and my nose starts running, that's a little too much for me. This is enjoyable.
Well, this is only half of one of those jalapenos. Which reverse my favorite.
It's a nice texture too, babe.
You like?
Yeah, the blending you did is good.
Oh, good.
Ooh, we got a big chunk.
Doesn't take much. I love that we grew this in our garden.
Is the jalapeno from our garden? There's the tomatillos.
It's not, but it could be. I have some out there. I have some other peppers in there that are much spicier than that.
Uh-huh, I do.
Cayenne and stuff. All right, there you go. There's our little kid outtake.
We're so
Yeah, do something now.
No.
West Side Story, where so it's just alright. Hey man.